Velia Consulting presents Data Privacy Compliance in Ghana. In this compliance education segment, we'll discuss data privacy in modern business, data privacy in Ghana, the law, unsolicited electronic communications, personal data as modern property, safety and security threats, and how to comply. Data privacy is a major concern for businesses around the world, more so with the pervasiveness and expansion of the internet and technology. In Africa, there is an estimated 346 million internet users, with almost 8 million of that number being from Ghana alone. But the importance of data privacy is not limited to online business or services. Many industries collect personal data through other more traditional means, and those industries can span widely from e-commerce to travel and hospitality, medical and hospital, retail, public administration, legal, accounting, educational institutions, and many others. The right to the privacy of one's personal data is protected in Ghana under the 1992 Constitution and the Data Protection Act, which establishes and mandates the Data Protection Commission to ensure the protection and legal enforcement of personal data privacy and security. The penalty for knowingly or recklessly disclosing personal data is up to 30,000 Ghana cedis. The law defines personal data as information from which a person can be identified, such as names, phone numbers, addresses, medical and/or financial records. And it implicates data controllers, who are any person who determines the purpose for or manner in which personal data is processed, as well as data processors, which may be any person except the employers of a data controller who process data on behalf of the data controller. These laws apply to data originating in Ghana, whether wholly or partly, and also it applies to data controllers who are established in Ghana or using equipment or a data processor who is established in Ghana. A popular means today for companies to reach consumers is through mobile phone text messages. However, unsolicited electronic communications or spam texts are not only often bothersome, but are legally prohibited if sent without the consumer's written request. Personal data obtained through electronic means and otherwise, such as email addresses, physical addresses, phone numbers, age, and gender, are now of significant value to marketers, whose use of such information to target product sales to consumers worldwide has created an entire personal information database industry. Due to this commoditization of personal data, many argue that it now constitutes a form of modern age property. However, the issue of whether personal data can be owned is a debate for the reason that personal data is a fact and therefore non-transferable. For instance, no one can own the fact that grass is green or the sky is blue, but perhaps the collation of those facts may be valuable to someone who doesn't already have the information and could use it. If personal data can be owned, who should own it? The individual whom the data identifies, or the data controller who collates and determines its use? While this debate is not the focus of our data privacy compliance discussion, it does lend to why the collection and use of personal data is very important and should be carefully thought about by any business. Also lending to the importance of the data privacy compliance discussion are the safety and security threats that are potential when personal data changes hands. While personal data has value and can present an advantage for your business, in the wrong hands, it can be employed for unethical or criminal activity of wide-ranging forms, from physical harm to identity theft and financial fraud, just to name a few. Here are a few ways that your business can comply with current data privacy laws. The first step is to register. Subject to a penalty of a fine, 2 years imprisonment, or both, the Data Protection Act requires all data controllers to register with the Data Protection Commission. How do you know if your business falls into this category? Again, personal data is defined as any data about a person that can be used to identify him or her. So, if your business requests personal data and determines any purpose for its use or manner, you are required to register with a commission. At large, anyone who processes personal data must take into account the privacy of the individual, guided by the principles of accountability, lawfulness of processing, specification of purpose, and compatibility of further processing with the purpose of collection, quality of information, openness, data security safeguards, and data subject participation. The next step to complying is to have a policy. Every person who manages and processes personal data should have a privacy policy to guide and inform about the terms and conditions upon which they will store and use personal data. This policy should be made accessible to any person providing their data, such as your customers, prior to the disclosure of such data. For example, a website might ask an individual to read a privacy policy and indicate they have read it and consent to its terms prior to enjoying the services of the site. A good privacy policy will be a separate document from any form a disclosing person is filling, and it should contain the following: personally identifying information collected, the categories of persons with whom this personally identifying information may be shared, and the process for notifying users of material changes to the application of the privacy policy. The next step is to get consent. Your clients must consent to your possession and use of their personal data. Be sure to always ask and obtain written permission before obtaining, storing, using, or sharing personal data. Next is to be clear. Be clear and upfront with your purpose for obtaining personal data. Clients should always be informed if you plan to share their information with third parties. Finally, protect the information. You do have a legal duty to protect personal data that is in your possession from inappropriate access and use. Today, this almost always includes the use of security software and other technology to protect data. Ensure that any data processes working on behalf of your organization, including employees, are trained to safely handle personal data in a confidential manner. Velia Consulting is passionate about helping companies comply with their legal and ethical obligations, not just to avoid violations, but also to ensure that their organizations remain competitive and build the consumer trust and goodwill that will support their success. Our team of experts can help you assess your organization's exposure in managing and processing personal data, help you develop effective policies to handle such activities, assist you in training your team members, and recommend vital tools to help you maintain adequate security standards that will prevent future inappropriate use or leaks of information. To speak with one of our qualified specialists or consultants, please call us or email us today at 030-251-1127 or info@velia.co. Thank you.